For me, Dragon Ball Daima was everything I ever wanted from a Dragon Ball series. When this show was announced, I remember being really excited to watch the show because one, Super had concluded and the only major Dragon Ball content that was coming out at the time was the manga chapters and video game content for Xenoverse, Fighters, and Kakarot, and then later on Sparking Zero. And two, from what I could tell from the teaser, the show was going to be a story that was going back to the original root that started the franchise of Dragon Ball in the first place. I will say I was a bit skeptical of the magical aspect of the story, but I trusted Toriyama with this kind of story system or world building because of his previous series known as Sandland. And I will say Dragon Ball Daima met almost every single expectation I had for the series and then some, to the point I am very confident in saying when comparing the anime series from Dragon Ball Daima to Dragon Ball Super, I believe Daima supersedes Super greatly more than Super. Dare I say it might even be slightly better than GT, but then that might be a stretch because I haven't watched GT in a long time. The last episode of Dragon Ball Daima aired a few days ago, and I can't help but say that I didn't leave the series dissatisfied. Well, not entirely, because Toriyama seemed to somehow connect this story, a standalone story, and was able to make it feel like a seamless insertion between Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super if they were able to properly connect it in some way or in any other way to Dragon Ball Super. However, the main thing that made me stick to Daima like crazy when it started was that it went to the very roots of Dragon Ball from the very beginning: adventure. Dragon Ball from the very beginning wasn't always the world-shaking, planet-busting, universe-ending series that we know now. It was a story about an alien kid that was originally sent to Earth to destroy it and accidentally bumped his stupid head on a rock, forgetting his original mission and adventuring with his grandpa Gohan until he dies, then traveling to understand the world that he lives in, running around and meeting curious characters like Bulma, the desert bandit Yamcha, Oolong, and so on, until he runs into the oppressive forces in the world like mercenary Tao, General Blue, Spike, the Devilman, Bandages, and the list goes on. Goku at the time was just a guy, just venturing around with his friends while protecting them and the home that he lived in. At its very core, Dragon Ball was always an adventure series. All the fights were kind of like terror meters or transitions, showing how terrifying a threat may be in a certain arc, or being the climax or the transition from one arc to the next. Prime example, when Piccolo was the antagonist of the show back in the day, y'all thought he was the original ore farmer? Bro, when Tien was an enemy of Goku, he was the original ore farmer. The guy would literally sit there and yell at your beams to stop, and they just will. Or he would just wait at the very last second before your attack hits him and just reflects it back to you with his bare hands, or just barely moving his hands at all. He'll just let the attack hit his chest and just wait for you to react on how beefy he is or how strong he is and how epic he is just by standing there. And at the time, that was indicating how strong Tien really was, because he went up against characters like Master Roshi, or at the time he was calling himself Jackie Chun, and Yamcha, and Krillin, and Goku being the last one, and everyone was struggling really hard against Tien. So Tien was a prime indicator of what a fight would look like if he was supposed to be a terror meter. He was supposed to be a terrifying threat. Daima, for me, was able to grab hold of that old school adventuring feel with just something so simple. Villain is scared of the heroes, he tries to nerf them by making them kids and taking away their Dragon Balls by stealing Dende, and that was pretty much it. All they had to do was now travel to the Demon Realm and find Dende, and of course, Bulma, Goku, Piccolo, and other new characters like Glorio and Pansy run into some crazy stuff as they run around adventuring the Demon Realm. Learning about the classes system between the first and third Demon Realm, discovering that Namekians originally lived in the second Demon Realm and never was the last original Namekian that stayed in their original home, fighting off Krakens, giants, oppressive first Demon Realm soldiers, and of course, the Ginyu Force clones, because we all know our boy Toriyama really liked his Super Sentai. And I want to focus really hard on those first Demon Realm soldiers, because when they revealed that some of the punishments they do in the Demon Realm was they steal your lifespans or they take away some of your lifespans, bro, that was insane, because I don't think I've ever seen that in any other series. I could be wrong, but that is an insane punishment, bro. The Demon Realms in Daima didn't really feel flat or repetitive. Each location and area had their own dangers, customs, stores, currency, all that good stuff, and didn't really feel like, to me, your usual run-of-the-mill Demon Realm that you see in every other random isekai series. Although, one of the other major things that made me love Daima was that Goku wasn't an idiot. To this day, I don't know what really happened to Goku's characterization in Super, but Daima felt refreshing. It felt like old school Dragon Ball Goku, but obviously less naive nor ignorant, and it felt like Goku was Goku again. He was defending his friends, actually encouraging people to fight with him when he felt like he couldn't win the fight by himself, and he was actually taking the threat seriously, to a certain degree. And don't get me wrong, the plot is not very complicated, I understand that, but in the grand scheme, we don't expect that from Dragon Ball in the first place. All I know is when I was watching that series, it felt like the old days when I was younger, waiting to come home a Friday evening or a Saturday evening or Saturday morning and just waiting for those anime episodes to drop. And I feel like that would have been me when I was younger if Daima was ever to be dropping back in that time frame. I really felt like I was a little kid watching this anime again. Now, of course, I can always go hyper on the fight about how epic the fights are and how amazing the animation is, how great the characters look. I love the new look of Super Saiyan 4. I love the look of Vegeta Super Saiyan 3. I love that they made those forms canon. Those are some of the greatest things that Daima has given to us, and some of the greatest things Toriyama gave to us before, went to meet the Lord and Savior. However, of course, Daima is far from perfect in terms of certain aspects. Yes, the story is great. I like the story and I do like a lot of the abilities that they showed off. However, I do agree with some people stating, I've seen the conversations on certain social media videos, on Twitter and on Instagram, all those different mediums, about how they feel about Super Saiyan 4 and how it's not really explained how Goku got Super Saiyan 4. And I will say I was under the impression that Neva unlocked the form for Goku. I didn't think that Goku unlocked it on his own. Now granted, the series kind of left that in a little bit of a weird limbo, because half the internet is saying that Neva unlocked it and the other half is saying Goku unlocked it, because the series at the end says, oh, Goku's trained more and just unlocked Super Saiyan 4, which is very unsatisfying in that regard, because we would like to understand how we got to Super Saiyan 4 in the first place, because of course, naturally, we understand what Super Saiyan 4 is, but from what we understand in Daima, Goku's only gone from the golden forms with Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2, and Super Saiyan 3. Now, if there's going to be a Super Saiyan 4, you're going to think that there's going to be some form of a golder variant, But granted, of course, we don't get that explanation. All we get is that he trained harder and then he unlocked Super Saiyan 4. Very unsatisfying, I'll give you that much. But granted, that was the only real thing that dissatisfied me about the series. Yes, I understand people are going to ask questions about, oh, since it's supposed to be somewhat of a period before Super, why didn't Goku turn Super Saiyan 4 when he fought Beerus the first time? Why didn't Vegeta go Super Saiyan 3 when Beerus slapped the hell out of Bulma? Why didn't they go Super Saiyan 4 or Super Saiyan 3 against Beerus together when he was attacking the Earth, etc, 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 etc? I understand those questions, but in the grand scheme, I don't think Toriyama was prepared for that, or even was thinking about that in the long term. I have no real idea. But I don't personally care about that or any of that in the first place, because Dragon Ball is filled with a lot of continuity errors in so many different places, and I understand it can be dissatisfying for a lot of Dragon Ball fans, and you're more than happy to be dissatisfied. It's fine, but understand, this is Toriyama we're talking about. This is about Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball has been out for decades now, and Toriyama already got so many fans about the series, and I believe that maybe he had well intentions of saying, you know what, let me give something that everyone wants. They want Super Saiyan 4, they want Gogeta, they want Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. I give it to you. And yes, of course, people are going to complain. They want more context. They want more details, more intricacies of why Goku is able to go Super Saiyan 4 in the first place. But Dragon Ball was never meant to be so intricate in the first place. Even in my first plot hole video, and I understand that I saw so many comments about all of these, Dragon Ball stands. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Dragon Ball stan too. I will talk to the ends of the earth about Dragon Ball as much as I want. And there's more videos about Dragon Ball I want to do later on. But understand, this show was the last thing that Toriyama did. And we don't know what he was going through before he passed. Maybe he started getting sick. Maybe he wanted to at least get this part of Daima finished before he disappeared, before he went to see a Lord and Savior, So I can understand the frustration, but it was never really that big of a deal for me. But other than that, I really liked Daima. If I had to give Daima a rating from beginning to end, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10, my guy. And I have said before, and I'll say it again, I believe Daima is a lot better than Super. I had a lot of gripes with Dragon Ball Super from beginning to end, especially since they made a lot of changes from the anime to the manga and manga to the anime. But either way, I believe that Dragon Ball Daima gave everything that we all wanted from a Dragon Ball series. Amazing fights, strong storytelling, actually decent characterization for each of the characters, from Glorio to Goku to Pansy to even Piccolo a little bit, even though he wasn't on the screen for very long, and even Vegeta, showing off that funny scene showing how much he actually loves Bulma, because a lot of other series, yeah, he loves Bulma, but this shows to an extent how much he loves Bulma, to the point that he's willing to stop fighting because she threatened that she's like, I'm not gonna give you no yams. I'm gonna give you no yams if you decide to keep fighting. I think that's great stuff. I think it's amazing. It's one of the most funniest things they've done in a while in Dragon Ball. So I do believe that Daima is really, really good, outside of the regard of trying to think too hard about the continuity of Super Saiyan 4 to Super, because I kind of forgot about Super already, to be quite honest. But what do you guys think? Tell me what you guys think about Dragon Ball Daima. Did you guys love it? Did you guys dislike it? Do you actually wish there was more conversation about Super Saiyan 4? I know I do. I just wish it wasn't that deep. I actually do wish we just got like a very basic explanation. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's your boy Kadukun. Keep your power levels high and your dreams alive as always. See you guys in the next video. Peace.
FMA, handle business, don't play. On point when it comes to the anime. Jack and Daxter, ayy, let's go. The ultimate heroes, don't stop, we on the road. Kadukun. Yeah, welcome to the channel.